Revelations. Crying won't help you. Praying won't do you no good. When the levee break, Mama, you've got to move. When the Levee Breaks, Led Zeppelin 4. By Alan Lee Whiteman. Meditation December 3, 2003. Video September 4, 2025. I take a walk from my house down Portofino Drive towards Penasquitos Lagoon. There is a dirt path from the sidewalk on the east side of the road leading up to a small bluff. This is at a spot where Portofino Drive descends down a steep grade to Carmel Valley Road. The bluff spot provides a good viewpoint of the marsh and the wide beach opening out on the Pacific. It is a nice spot to watch the sunset on those days when there are no clouds on the western horizon. In the meditation imagery that is presented from where I stand, I see a wall of water some 20 foot high washing in from the beach over the marsh and advancing on towards I-5 freeway. This is the beginning of the destruction. Nearly all of the houses along the lower-lying area of Del Mar Terrace are washed along in the tsunami and tumble and boil in the churning waters as the wave front and its trailers wash in from the ocean. I wonder, will the debris pile up on the pilings of the bridge support from Freeway 56 and be strong enough to break the overpass and cause the concrete and steel to crash on I-5 and completely close off traffic north and south? Will the tsunami have enough force and momentum to wash up over the ridges of Torrey Pines and Del Mar and come crashing down, debris and all, on the houses east of the ridges? Will my house and Barry's be swept away? I am reminded of the ending scenes from the 1998 Deep Impact movie where people are fleeing inland and are caught up in traffic jams. They see the meteors streaking overhead to crash in the very distant mid-Atlantic. The wave front in that scene rolls up and over the Appalachian mountain ridges, one after another, until the forces of the waters are dissipated. The characters of young Leo, Sarah, and her baby brother are racing on a dirt bike motorcycle to reach higher ground as the floodwaters sweep over the ridges. Everything in its path is destroyed. In that movie, however, the wave front is 1,000 feet high and moving much, much faster. I gather that nearly all of Del Mar is destroyed as the wave front washes up the hillside. Houses crumble like dust. Trees snap and tangle. If the wave front is not strong enough to wash up over crest and amphitheater, then much of the debris washes back down and anything that survived the first wave is caught up and dragged back down to the beach in the aftermath. Camino del Mar, aka Coast Highway 101, becomes completely blocked with broken timber, concrete, tree limbs, and flattened cars. Further up and down the coast, the same picture is largely repeated. The areas having flat beaches allow the destruction to wash further inland. The racetrack stands are simply pushed over and deposited on I-5 in the San Dieguito Valley. Further south, the wave front does not roll over the heights of La Jolla, but what doesn't flood over the ridges gets pushed to the left and right, and the areas having breaks to the inland get a double dose of the energy. Further south in Pacific Beach, all is swept inland and piles up on the freeway. Those places having natural dips or low-lying areas simply get filled up with debris. Further south, still in Mission Bay, the houses and condos along the beach get rolled over and deposited in the bay. It becomes one huge mess. Mission Valley and San Diego downtown get the worst. There are no real coastal ridges to mitigate the force of the wave front there, and the waters simply move further inland. While tragic in its own right, the destruction of the San Diego coastal area is just a minor part of what happens all up and down the West Coast. Actually, it is more proper to identify all of the Pacific Rim as the place where the waters wreak their havoc. Every major seaport is subject, more or less, to the same treatment. Total destruction and an ensuing collapse occurs of all shipping, air travel, and trade throughout the Pacific. The insurance industry is unable to deal with the cleanup and just collapses. Would this only be the worst of it? Coastal flooding can be dealt with over time, but it is the other bigger problems that are of real concern. Scenes from the Postman movie of a few years ago take form in the pseudo-civilizations that remain. All of a sudden, that below the level of civility, The rawness in the genetics of man springs forth, and what gets prized is the strength, endurance, and charisma of those once disaffected denizens of society who previously lurked in the darker places of life. Men are valued for their ability to survive and rule. Women, especially those of good looks, take on a much different role.